I have to begin with telling you that the sermon today is not called loneliness. It was going to be, but then my mom died, and then everything changed. And so instead, I'm doing Nourishing the Soul. Today's the third Sunday of the month, and that means that after the service we get to feast. It's Potluck Sunday. If you never stayed for Potluck Sunday, I encourage you to do so. It doesn't matter if you didn't bring anything. There's plenty for everyone, and you can bring something next time. So come and stay and eat with us. Every time I've been able to stay, it's just yummy goodies. Someone usually brings homemade deviled eggs that are the best on the planet. And Katie brings a Swiss cheese that I have a weakness for, and just good breads and spreads and surprises. It's a great way to nourish our bodies and our souls, because it is in this coming together, being together, talking together, laughing together, that we are nourished. For you see, we have as much need for spiritual nourishment as we do physical nourishment. We have to have both body and soul nourished to feel fully alive. And I think that's the goal, to live before we die. Joseph Campbell says, people say that what we're all seeking is a meaning to life. I think what we're really seeking is an experience of being alive, so that our life experience on the purely physical plane will resonate within our innermost being and reality, so that we can actually feel the rapture of being alive. Now, what I noticed is that we have a plan about getting our bodies fed. It's called breakfast, lunch, and supper, and sometimes snacks in between. If we don't eat, our stomach starts to grumble. We get a little pain in our stomach, and we are reminded, oh, I'm hungry. I need to get something to eat. But did you know that people who fast, or even people who diet, are able to get beyond that stomach grumbling and pain and not feel hunger for a while? It's sort of like when you get tired. If you don't go to bed right away, you get a second wind and are awake again. So if we ignore our stomach talking to us, the pain subsides. And if you keep ignoring it and keep ignoring it, we totally disconnect from the sensation of hunger and can quite literally starve to death. I had a hospital patient one time who was 24 years old. She was about 5'6", which is my height. And she weighed 83 pounds. She thought she was fat and was suffering from anorexia nervosa, of course. I asked her, because I was curious, don't you ever get hungry? She said no, she really didn't. She had managed to cut off completely from the signals of her body that said, I need nourishment. Put some food in. Most of us, and I dare say all of us here, respond to those signals, and we get into action and go get something to eat. But what about the signals that say, I need spiritual nourishment? These are the signals. I'm not happy. I'm lonely. I'm sad. I'm discouraged. I'm depressed. I'm isolated. I'm broke. I'm broken. I need a hug. I feel empty. Maybe we don't even recognize our spiritual hunger pains anymore because we learn to ignore them. Certainly from a therapist's point of view, and for you that don't know me, I'm a therapist in the outside world, outside of my home here. This pattern of ignoring our body's signals that say, I am spiritually hungry, often starts in a person's family of origin. That is, as a child, we were taught to suppress those pangs. And if we were taught to suppress them long enough, we become like an anorexic, completely cut off from the signals. The signals that say, I need spiritual nourishment. Put some love in. I will tell you by confession. I know we are not Catholic, but I'm still going to confess. And tell the story of my oldest child, Scott, and my borderline client who was committing suicide. I was home alone with my 4-year-old, Scott. She was on the phone with a gun to her head. Scott kept coming in, and I kept saying, whispering, just a minute, honey, just a minute. Before cell phones, we didn't even have a cordless phone. They didn't exist. So here I was, tied to the wall, Scott's deterioration happening right before my eyes. Finally, I found him curled in his bed, despondent. Never again will I do this to a child. Never again. And I haven't. I held him and I rocked him and I cried because I had systematically shut down his signals that said, I need spiritual nourishment. Feed me. I need love now. Of course, he was able to recover because kids are resilient, and I didn't do it to him anymore. But if it happens to a child long enough or frequently enough, they do get cut off from those natural signals. Maybe that happened to you. If so, I'm sorry that that happened to you. I'm sorry. I believe that whoever did that to you didn't know any better. Did the best they could with the tools they had. And here's the good news. I also believe it's possible to get back in tune with those signals again. With my anorexic hospital patient, she was eventually able to learn to listen to her body again, to be in touch with the sensation of hunger and feel her body when she was hungry. So too can we listen to our souls and feed them when we are hungry. But how, you might ask? Well, there are 2 words I want you to take away with you today. Actually, I lied. There are 3. The first one is deliberate. We have to deliberately, intentionally, on purpose, decide to nourish our souls every day, just like we nourish our bodies every day. I just finished this wonderful book, powerful, wonderful book, called Younger Next Year, which talks about what it takes to get younger next year. And what I like about the book is that the authors are honest. They don't sugarcoat things. They say, if you want to be younger next year, you have to work hard. You have to exercise hard every day for the rest of your life, for an hour a day. Sweat, work your muscles and get strong. Work your circulatory system every day. I had been lying to myself, thinking I wanted those programs that said it's easier if you just walk 10 minutes a day, 2 to 3 days a week, you are fine. And this book says that's not true. That's pretending. You have to do it every day for an hour, 45 minutes at the least, walking fast, walking hard, getting your heart rate up, and I believe them. I also believe that it's how it works spiritually too. We have to nourish our souls daily, deliberately, on purpose. Take time to do it. For example, if you are here this morning, which it seems like you are, I dare say you did that deliberately. You had the intention of coming to church and being together and wanting to take something away from the service today. So you got up and you got ready and you came here. Remember, a lot of change happens in our lives just by showing up. So you've got Sunday covered as long as you keep coming to church every week. But what about the rest of the week? Muslims pray 5 times a day. What about you? Here's the next word, connect. Part of what we do here at Big Question Group before service, at potluck after service, singing together during the service is connecting. Connection nourishes our soul. So we have to deliberately, on purpose, connect 7 days a week. We can connect on 3 levels and need to, with ourselves, with a higher power, and with others. Connection with ourselves means introspection. Socrates said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." So we go inside. We need to think, question ourselves about our beliefs. You need a relationship with that person that you're carrying around inside of you. You need to know him, or you need to know her. Who are you, and what do you stand for? I think it's important to know. My 15-year-old son said to me at dinner one night, "You know, Mom, I don't think Obama is doing a good job, at least from what people have told me. But I've been thinking about that." And then he named some of the brightest people I have ever known in my life. And he said, "What I noticed is that Miss Eloise, who comes to this church when she's in town, a renowned world scientist, friend of ours, and Miss Ruthie, who now lives in Libya, who has the most incredible memory I have ever seen. Just really, really smart people. Still believe he's doing a good job. And I think my friends at school don't really know." So I'm sticking with Obama because I think really smart people are sticking with Obama, and there must be something to that. Now, I don't know how you feel about Obama. It doesn't matter to me. What I'm talking about is you knowing how you feel about Obama. The introspection part, that part matters. And knowing what you believe about God, about right and wrong, about what's important. You might not know the right answer because, of course, there are many right answers. But you need to know what the right answer is for you. And right here in this church, you are supported in finding out those answers, whatever they are. We encourage you to find out who you are. Get to know that person you are hanging out with. Because once you know your values, your beliefs, and what you stand for, life gets a lot easier. All you have to do is measure your behaviors against your values. When you come to a crossroad, you just have to ask which way fits my value system, and then you choose that one. Introspection, then, the examined life, is a way to nourish our souls. So we need to get connected to ourselves, and we need to get connected to a higher power too. Higher power, what does that mean? It means power greater than myself. We don't have to have a name for it, but you can if you want. We just have to get that there is more to this life than just me. Now, higher power is easy for me. I just look around and I say, wow. Albert Einstein said we should all walk around in awe because the order of the universe is amazing. And it is. The seasons, the tides, the bird migrations, our heartbeats, our breathing, birth, death, the sun coming up, the moon coming up, the leaves growing on the trees, the leaves turning colors on the trees, the leaves falling off the trees. It's all so predictable and amazing. I look around and I say, wow, this is bigger than me. Quantum physics, wow, this is bigger than me. Bigger than me. The birth of a child, wow, bigger than me. The waves in the ocean, wow, bigger than me. So connection to higher power really is just the realization that we are not in charge of the world. Now there's some relief in that. We don't have to know all the answers. It's bigger than us. We don't have to get it all right. That's bigger than us. What's important is to nourish our souls, is to have some connection with what is bigger than us. In my 20s, I went to an adult Children of Alcoholics meeting since my dad was an alcoholic. The meeting was on higher power. Everyone was allowed to come forward and talk about what their higher power was. Some people said God, some people said Jesus, Allah, Krishna, some people said nature, some said this group right here, this community, and all kinds of stuff. One person said it was the 90% of their brain that was subconscious that he could pull from. I used that definition for a long time until I grew into another definition, but that there was 90% of my brain that was not present but could be pulled from. So I encourage you to have introspection and figure out what you can connect to on a greater level than yourself, to connect to the independent web of life. Some people use quiet and meditation to get there. Some people pray. I use prayer. I pray all the time. When I'm in my car, I'm praying. When I'm at work, I'm praying. And mostly my prayer is thank you, thank you, thank you, God. But that's just my way. You'll have to find your way. Some people get connected to a higher power working the earth, planting a garden. The point is, it doesn't matter how you get that connection. It only matters that you get that connection to nourish your soul. The last place where we need connection is to connect with others. Let me read something from Younger Next Year. We need each other to be fully alive, to thrive, to have our souls nourished. We need to share energy. We need to give and receive love from each other, that higher energy vibration to nourish our souls. Which brings me to the third and last word today, which is care. It matters that we care. It matters on this planet, for your life, for you to be fully alive, that you care about something. It doesn't even matter what it is that you care about, that you do care about something and that you serve somewhere. I watched a little clip on the internet the other day on Jon Stewart on The Daily Show. I don't know if you all have seen it, but he's a comedian and he's starting this campaign to have a moderate march on Washington to bring our country back to sanity. He then shows all these shots of very, very right-wing conservative rallies with posters of Obama wearing Hitler's mustache and calling him Hitler, and just a lot of extremism that's going on. So Jon Stewart has taken on this as sort of how he cares and has come up with the idea that we should have a march to take it down a notch for America. He has signed suggestions for people who would come to his march. I disagree with you, but I still know you are not Hitler. And I'm not afraid of blacks or Jews or Muslims or gays, but I'm kind of afraid of spiders. Anyway, the whole thing is quite comical, but I was thinking it's also his way of saying, I care. I care what's happening in America. I care enough to say, let's take it down a notch for America. Now, I don't know if you are a Democrat or a Republican, and it doesn't matter to me. What matters is that you care enough to serve somewhere, not necessarily politically, not necessarily in a big way, just in some way. Take the candle you have inside of yourself and light another person's candle. Take some action to care. Be deliberate. Do it on purpose. One of my favorite quotes from Albert Schweitzer was when he was speaking to a graduating class at a commencement service. And he said, "I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I do know, the only ones among you who will be really happy are those who have sought and found how to serve, how to care." It's that important. Blessed be and amen. And I want to read a little something to you, a little book about it, caring. It's called I Knew You Could Do It. I knew you could do it. I knew that you could. Of everyone out there, I knew that you would. And wow, holy cow, I'm telling you, kid, it wasn't easy, that thing that you did. And here's this little girl pulling tug-of-war with two big bears. Don't think I don't know of the gumption and grit and the backbone it took. It took quite a bit. But you dug in your heels and you set yourselves high. And you shook out your feathers and made that thing fly. You stared down the dragon that we all have to do. You made that ship sail. And today you're the star of your own fairy tale. You did it, you did it. Please say it out loud. You did it, you did it. You should be awfully proud. I knew you could do it. And you know what's sweet? You're not even halfway down Victory Street. Oh, you'll be tumbled a battle or two, but you've got what it takes, you firecracker, you. So when you get caught in the bramble and thicket, watch what you say to yourself. That's the ticket. Don't get hung up in the should-haves and oughts to, and what-ifs and could-haves, and those thinky thoughts too. Remember the battles you've already won. Lean into the wind. Put your brave boots on. It won't be long till you're blazing new trails and climbing your way into new fairy tales. Swinging through the stars, and there's nothing to it. And guess what I'll say? I knew you could do it. Blessed be and amen. Thank you. And thank you.